It's been almost 2 years since Palkia VSTAR was at the very top of the metagame alongside the Inteleon engine, but with the new inclusions from the Stellar Crown expansion, most notably the Area Zero Underdepths, allowing us to increase our bench size, therefore increasing the damage output of Subspace Swell, as well as the new spiritual reprint of Inteleon in the Noctowl, which has that very promising dual hunt ability. You do have to have a Terrestrial Pokemon in play, but this Noctowl is just a stage 1 Pokemon, and it can immediately grab us 2 trainer cards from our deck. That means we can play some very cheeky single counts of cards and unlock these on as early as turn 2 of the game. As we know, one of the strongest combinations possible for a Palkia player is the Prime Catcher Cancelling Cologne combination, and one dual hunt from Noctowl can cherry pick those pieces. At the same time, Fan Rotom really makes the Noctowl package even more consistent, because just one Nest Ball can get Fan Rotom, which then gets double Hoothoot and Noctowl, or if you've already got Hoothoot as well, you can get double Noctowl, and you guarantee yourself a lot of trainer cards on that second turn of the game. The Terrestrial Pokemon we're weaving into the deck list right now is Terapagos EX with the Unified Beatdown attack. It does cost 2 colourless, but we do have the Glass Trumpet item card as a single copy in the deck as well, so you can accelerate to Terapagos, then get your manual attachment in, so the Unified Beatdown is also an attacking option in the deck. With a full bench of 8 with the Area Zero Underdepths in play, we can dish out that 240 damage, and there's also the Briar supporter in the deck list as well. We're really trying to attack the opponent from all angles here. We have spread pressure from Radiant Greninja, we have the Palkia, which is much more of a beat stick in the format with the new stadium inclusion, and we have the possibility of Briar with Terapagos to KO some basic attacking decks, or could even be combined with Countercatcher at the same time. If the opponent goes down to 2 prize cards remaining, you can surprise them with a victory, attacking with your Terapagos alongside a Briar, and take those final 3 prize cards on some lower hit point Pokemon on the bench. Supplementing the dual hunt from Noctowl, we also have that Greninja drawing us cards, and putting those water energy in the discard pile still synergizes so nicely with the Star Portal ability from your Palkia. And of course we have that Fezandipiti EX in here as well to also flip the script, drawing us some additional cards, helping us out against the late game Ionos from the opponent. There are definitely a few different consideration cards you can think about coming into a Palkia deck. If you want to have a water terrestrial Pokemon, which is Irida searchable, you could include 1 copy of the Wellspring Ogerpon EX, or completely remove Terapagos altogether and just go for the Wellspring. If you are going to remove the Terapagos, I think the Briar also has to be removed from the deck list, but there could be some upside of just having that Irida searchable Terra Pokemon. Alternatively, a number of Japanese deck lists go for the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX actually, simply because of its Cornerstone stance ability, making it difficult to KO, so even though it's a multi-prizer that's sat on your bench, it's not something that's going to be easily picked off by an opponent. And at the same time, if you're playing 2 copies of Cornerstone Ogerpon, that in itself can be a win condition against certain archetypes if they're not prepared for this ability. The Fan Rotom isn't just good for getting our Noctowl pieces, however. It could also be useful for getting early game Pidgey or Bidoof, so if you want to have a thin line of Bibarel or Pidgeot EX in the deck list, you could also accommodate that, maybe trimming down the Noctowl line to a 2-2 to include a 1-1 Bibarel, or do a few more gymnastics to weave in a Pidgeot line. We have so many good colourless abilities in the format right now. This Rotom is going to be extremely versatile, and Noctowl is just the beginning. Speaking of interesting colourless Pokemon, a Blood Moon Ursaluna EX could also find its way into the deck list. We only have that little burst of acceleration from the Star Portal itself, and at the moment 1 copy of Glass Trumpet, so having that late game Blood Moon which can attack much more cheaply could be a great way to close out games, and is still a really good option against decks like Miraidon, which will have a field day dealing with our multi-prizes in this deck, whereas the Blood Moon actually sits out of KO range, so will make life more difficult for them. Speaking of other attackers in the deck, if you want to lean more heavily towards the Glass Trumpet, Chien-Pao EX can actually be a powerful option here. You'd only really weave in the Hail Blade once or twice during the game, but with the acceleration of Star Portal and Trumpet, you could weave in some powerful one-hit KOs from this card. And there's also been a number of lists that have respected Charizard to the extent of including some Grass Energy and having Iron Leaves EX in the deck list for that Glass Trumpet synergy again, knowing that we could Rapid Veneer some energies after a Trumpet and get a KO on a Charizard, which Palkia does struggle with. The deck that's in front of you is using Kieran to try and reach, but of course using that Iron Leaves might be a little bit more flexible and possibly even reusable with some Night Stretchers and Super Rods. The final thing to think about is leaning more heavily towards the Irida part of the deck. Having Iron Bundle in the list is just another easily searchable water Pokemon, and we know this ability is very powerful for making your prize race that little bit easier. And of course Lumineon, still a decent option, even with just a couple Ultra Ball in the deck list right now. The fact that you could Irida for this plus an immediate item card, knowing that you have a supporter for the following turn, is still something to consider. I think Palkia has a lot of promise in the next format, simply because it can force multi-prize turns in a lot of ways. With the consistency of a Greninja on turn 2 now, thanks to the dual hunt from Noctowl, you can really punish evolving archetypes. And when you go first, you can easily ensure that you're taking a 2-prize KO with the Palkia V-STAR. The Briar might be a little bit cute right now, the Trumpet might be a little bit cute. So those are more sort of power cards that I've been experimenting with, but don't necessarily have to go in the deck list. So if we do need to simplify this deck list a little bit more, weave in extra Vessel, weave in extra Energy, weave in extra Ball Search cards, I do think the space is there to tweak. Let me know your thoughts on the deck list and enjoy the games. If you're looking for PTCG live codes, make sure you check out the POWERHOUSE store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code OmniPoke. So here we are getting into this first game then. Jack is going to be on the right and he's going to be playing the Palkia Noctowl variant. And I'm going to kick things off with Regidrago V-STAR. Always a great place to see just how powerful an archetype is, knowing that this is currently the strongest deck in the metagame. I think most people would accept that as the truth. And Jack is going to get to go first here. Has a Hoothoot in the active and is able to Earthen Vessel out to Water Energy by the looks of things. Not sure what else he has access to. Looks like he's eyeing up possibly Squawkabilly for a level ball play, a nest ball play as well. And yeah, he'll be going back into the deck because of that. That means that with the 2 water also in hand, he can pitch the lot and have plenty ready for a Palkia V-STAR on turn 2 to get those 3 energy back into the mix, provided the Squawkabilly gets towards some additional Ball Search cards. He's going to have to get rid of Boss and Prime Catcher though, which is a bit painful. But is going to get a fresh 6 cards here. Can he find many basics? Well, we see Nestball and Hisuian, so that should help him out a little bit. Actually, double Nestball, so yeah, really good opener here because all it takes is 1 Nestball for the Fan Rotom to be unlocked. Then we can grab some more colorless Pokemon out of the deck. That's why this Rotom is just so incredible. Really unlocks the Noctowl engine. Jack's going to grab 2 Hoothoot as well as a Noctowl to the hand. So he can bench an additional Noctowl if he wants to, and holds on to a guaranteed Noctowl for the second turn of the game, unless I was to, well, yeah, pretty much guaranteed. And with the Area Zero Underdepths, he can actually bench multiple Hoothoot here because the Terapagos EX is also on the bench. So all things considered, a really good turn 1. He's able to start powering up a Palkia. We know he has a strong engine, even with a low hand size. Next turn, that Noctowl can cherry pick a few things that could get him towards all sorts of combinations. The only thing that's a bit of a hiccup is losing a couple of gusting cards early. Could be a headache for Jack. I am going to use my own Nestball early on here and grab my own Squawkabilly to see some additional cards by the looks of things. Whenever you go second as a V-STAR deck into a V-STAR deck, you do have to be a bit wary of the opponent taking the first 2-prize KO. At least I'm able to put a second Regidrago V down and start powering that up. Also going to grab an Ogerpon EX. It was important that that was my final bench space because now I can, with Area Zero Underdepths from Jack, I can also start extending my own bench here. And that's why Nestball's active. And we can start using some Teal Dances here. Drawing some additional cards as we go. And is there anything else I can do? Can I move this Regidrago? No, that's going to be in the active, ready for Jack to initiate a prize race onto. And he immediately is going to dual hunt with this Noctowl. And it looks like Irida's the first thing on his mind. What else can he weave in together with? Possibly the Vessel is being spied here. He may just want to attach Retreat out of the active, with the Prime Catcher being one of the sort of premium switching effects. Maybe that's what he's considering here. Let's see what else is in the hand. I saw Super Odd. Not many other proactive cards in the hand, to be honest, I don't think. Oh, there's a second Noctowl, so he can do a whole heap of things here. I think Jack's going to actually just decide to evolve the bench Noctowl rather than the active. I think he's still getting the same targets here, but it's just because I put the 10 damage onto that Hoothoot, so he'd rather not give me the easy KO with the Dragapult EX, which obviously makes sense. So the Irida's going to get switch Palkia V-STAR, and then we are going to see the second dual hunt here. So I think Jack's going to also be able to get to work on another Palkia V. And what else is he going to grab here? Looking like Poffin, possibly. Maybe this is just fodder for the Vessel that he also took. Yeah, Vessel is going to get rid of Poffin. And now we see double water to come to the hand, so he can maximize the value of his Palkia V-STAR and still have attachments in there. As Nestball will find a second Palkia V, as expected. So a double dual hunt, as you would imagine, means that Jack's going to have a very powerful turn here. He actually doesn't even need to spend the V-STAR power. He can just attach here. It's whether or not he wants to spend it. Because there is a Squawkabilly on the bench, maybe he doesn't even need V-Star next turn. If he just takes the 2 this turn, yeah, he's going to start loading up the bench Palkia. That means that he can just, like, Gust next turn. It also means he can float an attachment onto Terapagos, which does open up Briar plays as well for him later, possibly. So that might also be playing on his mind. As it goes over to me, Jack's going to go a couple prizes up. We're going to start with a Flip the Script from Fezandipiti. And we're going to start Teal Dancing as well. Looks like I do have Ultra Ball in hand, so I should be able to... Oh, we already have V-Star, so that's looking pretty good. I already have Iono in the hand as well, so I'm probably going to be trying to slam Iono back at him here. We're going to Ultra Ball away a couple other supporter cards, because we won't be using those this turn. And looks like I'm spying possible Dragapult EX just for discards fodder. Or do I want to just get... Well, we're going to go Goodra. That's definitely a decent attacker in this matchup, because we can put ourselves to effectively 360 hit points with the Rolling Iron, and it means that if I can't KO... Well, I don't really want to just take a clean KO here, because then I'm going to keep racing and be behind. What I really want to do is like get a Rolling Iron weaved in and tank, and then set up a multi-prize KO, either with like a Kieran play or with something else along those lines. So we're going to Ogerpon and draw one more. And we do get the Regidrago V from that, and then we're able to attach a fire and Iono Jack down to 4 cards. This is all pre-V-Star power, of course, as well, which is nice. You can see I'm tossing up the numbers to see if the Rolling Iron does keep me out of range, and it will. I think the only thing that would KO would be like a Kieran plus bench Pokemon, which would essentially force Jack to find the final Noctowl, I think. So we're looking pretty solid to just hold and swing with the Goodra here. Yep, it is going to be the 200 damage Rolling Iron. Trying to keep me out of range of this Palkia is the plan here. Let's see what Jack's drawn into. It has got an extra Pokemon. He's got his own Iono here. He has water in hand. Let's see. He is going to slam down an Irida, so we can at least get a second V-Star developed. He may also want to start thinking about Manaphy to protect himself from like a Kieran play. Kieran play could be set up by me with like a future Gusting turn or like another Rolling Iron onto a Palkia or something like that. So he may have that in mind as well. For now though, it's just going to be another Palkia V-Star coming to the hand by the looks of things. So it's going to be an Ultra Ball. Can the Ultra Ball get the last Noctowl and unlock all sorts here? Yep, looks like we're going to be hunting again with Noctowl. So what's the play Jack's trying to carve up here with these extra 2 trainer cards? Boss's Orders for next turn. Feels a little bit weird. Yeah, it does feel strange to use the Noctowl this turn if you've already spent Irida, to be honest. Could have just held Ultra Ball, maybe. Unless, well, Counter Catcher's not live. Glass Trumpet and Counter Catcher are going to come to the hand. These look like cards for future schemes. The Trumpet can at least power up the Terapagos, though. And it looks like Jack's thinking of just swinging into this Regidrago. Yeah, that's going to be what we're seeing here. And thanks to that Goodra reduction, I'm able to tank despite the massive benches on both sides. So I've bought that turn. I'm holding on to Prime Catcher as well. I've got some of the E-Switch shenanigans. We're going to start with our V-Star power. It's going to be a Research Ultra Ball pickup from the V-Star after some deliberation here. We're going to get rid of Dragapult EX and Cancelling Cologne. And we're going to take another Regidrago V-Star. We are holding on to Prime, so the research is kind of the main thing here. We're going to prime up something, and it's going to be Squawkabilly, I think. I do know that I've got Kieran in my prizes, so I think this Dragapult is definitely part of the plan. Yeah, it is going to be the Squawkabilly that we're just going to take here by the looks of things, whilst powering up another Regidrago, and then we're just going to research for the fresh 7. We do... Looks like we've got Radzard in the hand, which is looking pretty promising. Probably are going to need that next turn with a heavily damaged Drago in the active right now. And with Radzard in mind, it looks like the Dragapult probably has to put 3 on the Palkia VSTAR as the kind of most important thing here, the undamaged one. Yeah, and then we're also going to throw 3 onto the Terapagos. I didn't mind putting 2 more on the other Palkia as well, to maybe set that up for another Dragapult play. We're really hoping to dodge an Iono from Jack, though, because maybe I was meant to proactively bench that Radzard anyway. Maybe the only reason I didn't was because I've spent some switching outs. But Jack does have the Iono, so can come back, get the KO, go down to 2, whilst putting me down to just 4 cards to try and get a response here. Doesn't look like there's much else he can do, though, so we will just take those 2 prizes, put himself an attack away from closing the game. I do pick up the Ultra Ball and Nest Ball, so I can get Mew EX and Charizard here. And we actually have quite a low hand size, so we might actually still be able to get towards the Radzard plus Fire combo. Yeah, there's 1 Fire in the deck, and I think there's the Super Rod as well to recover Fire. We're going to Mew for 2. And we actually hit Fire Iono, which is the dream, but I was pretty likely to get anyway, but now I can Fez into the remaining of my deck by the looks of things. So pretty fortunate to have this bounce back, to be fair. The Rod does get me Grass into Fire, so I can just Teal Dance towards win next turn. And we obviously still want the Fire for the Drago. And we will go down to 2 prize cards ourselves, and Jack has to find a means of gusting or Briar here. And looks like he has the Fezandipiti to try and get him one of those 2 cards. And he misses. Little unfortunate here. Jack wasn't able to close. The Terapagos would have been able to do it with a Briar. He can at least Iono us back. I'm just getting 2 cards, but I think with the deck so thin, it may still be easy for me. And he is still going to take the one with the Terapagos. I think because I remember us talking about this later on, that this opens up Fez and whatnot for me to like draw the remainder of my deck. But he says, you can see there him pointing that Iono'd his Gust towards the bottom anyway. So him just like passing the Radzard wouldn't have actually been that big of a deal because he was so many draws away from his Gust. So yeah, going to be a 1-0 victory for the Regidrago. And now we're going to move into another matchup. Close game though, you can see that Jack was definitely ahead and just a little bit unfortunate to not have the closing pieces there. But let's get into now a matchup up against Gardevoir EX. So getting into it then, with the Palafin sleeves, I'm playing the Gardevoir deck. Jack starts off with a Fezandipiti EX, and I've got the Screamtail. I just have a draw pass, so we go straight back over to Jack. I lose the advantage of going first, because I just have no playables. I know my hand is good for next turn, though. I'm pretty sure I've got Evo and Arven and stuff. So my turn will be good next turn. But yeah, giving away the incentive is a bit of a shame. But that's what you get with Stage 2s sometimes. Jack's having a look through with the Irida here. As we know, finding something like that Rotom could be very powerful. By the looks of things, that's what he's debating right now. Just going Nest Ball Greninja, Nest Ball with the Rotom to get the squad out of the birds. I think possibly his Squawkabilly was prized, because by the looks of things, he's not too happy about the choice compared to just dumping the hand. So I think he's just got a few water in the hand. So he might actually be using Greninja first here before using the Rotom, just to see if he can get a Palkia developed on 1. If you miss Palkia, you could still just attach to a Terapagos maybe. Let's see, there's the Conceal cards. Does it help him out? No, it just gets him more Or Vessel and something else. And now he has a decision. Does he just go Palkia V and accept that he's not going to get a Noctowl in if he goes for the Rotom Noctowl thing? He doesn't have guaranteed access to Terapagos, but he'd have another concealed cards to maybe get him towards another Bull Search. I feel like Palkia is probably the best play, but Jack's going to go Rotom. The thing about the Rotom now is that, like, even though you're developing Hoothoot, you still need another Bull Search to actually activate your Noctowl anyway. It's one of those strange things where, like, if you don't cash in on Rotom now, how do you get the Noctowl out later? But Jack's going to just quickly thin the deck of that Fan Rotom. I think he's already got a Noctowl in hand, so just the double Hoothoot is fine, and then the fodder of the second Fan Rotom with this Vessel. So he's at least thinned his deck to maybe draw towards a better out next turn. And he does still have Irida for turn 2. It just means that he doesn't really have much attacking pressure outside of, like, exactly Terapagos plus Trumpet now. And even then, he has to find, like, a switching card to move the Fez. I think the attachment of Water to Greninja is not great. I think I prefer that attachment on the active, to be honest, to at least open up the Terapagos to start swinging. We know the Greninja is a threat, but, like, it's still not threatening anything on turn 2 without a Palkia down. I'm able to poffin twice, because my top deck was poffin, actually, which really saves me. It means I can get that extra Ralts and the Manaphy down now, but even though I'm not that concerned about Greninja, it just means I get the search in nicely, and now we can end on double Curlier with Screamtail. And Jack is able to conceal cards into Nest Ball, which is pretty important. I think he does go Terapagos here, so we can open up his bench with an Area Zero. And he does have a Dual Hunt open to him. And you got to think Area Zero will be one of those choices. Trumpet plus a switching out could be another. If he had, like, Trumpet Prime, maybe it could be a play for him to, like, just take out Curlier rather than Screamtail, deny some draw power, something like that. Could be decent. Trumpet Boss doing a similar thing, but then you need to find a way to move the Fez still. Also got to think about trying to still weave in a Palkia, because you want to have more follow-ups after this. Looks like Kieran will be the way that he moves out of the active. Oh, he does have Ultra Ball, so he can get a Palkia down as long as he has Area Zero available. And I think it's in hand. I think I can see it peeking out there. Might be a research, though. Maybe I'm just wrong. Yeah, it's going to be Ultra Balling away. Palkia VSTAR and Irida, I think that is. Yeah. But we are just going to see the Trumpet for... Oh, okay, so maybe the Ultra Ball isn't going to be for Palkia, it's going to be for a second Noctowl. Okay, so he's going to unlock a few more options here, so he can actually do everything. Yeah, so maybe he was just missing the Area Zero to actually bench this Palkia. So he has had to spend double Noctowl to get everything he wanted, but it means that he can get the Palkia down whilst pressurizing with a Terapagos this turn. So even with that sort of strange turn 1, it meant he's still able to have a pretty solid turn 2. He actually is holding on to Prime, but he's going to just play the Kieran here, you would think. Yeah, the Kieran was searched with the first Dual Hunt. And he'll just take out the single prize. I'm a little bit surprised he went for Kieran there, rather than just spending Prime in hand and taking out a Curlier. Because removing draw is still, like, really important, right? I had a very bad turn 1. And, like, I've only just started refining now, so the earlier you can get rid of those, the better, obviously. So I am a little bit surprised to see the Kieran there. I'm able to get into Gardevoir EX, and we have a Monkey Dory. I'm going to counter-catch up Fezandipiti, and I'm going to Unfair Stamp, so pretty much the most powerful springboard comeback we can think of. But still need to get some energy here. Really need to draw into energy so I can refine those away. Because I think I only have one Psychic in the bin right now. And we do see one Psychic at least. I think there's also, yeah, Poffin in hand. I can thin out a Drifloon here. And we're going to refine away a Psychic, and we actually drew into another Psychic, which is the Dream. Didn't have to draw it off those two, I had to see it in the next 4 after the first refinement, but we did get there, naturally. We will throw 6 damage onto the Gardevoir. We didn't draw Darkness Energy, so I couldn't have the Dream of also weaving in a Monkey Dory. I probably would have put the 3 damage onto the Palkia, to be honest with you. Get that closer into range, but now let's see how Jack's treated after the unfair stamp. And obviously the concealed card's already been used, so he's working with a 4-card hand right now. Has drawn Vessel. Has got a Palkia in hand as well, actually, so should be able to launch an attack still here. He can attach Retreats the Fez, and then he can V-Star power and attack with Palkia for the KO here. I think we're seeing that the Trumpet onto the Rotom has actually punished Jack a little bit here. It means he can't float an energy onto this Greninja that he attached to on turn 1. He'll have to just retreat and put 2 on Palkia, and then the Greninja's like not going to be live really for a long time. That's a bit of a shame that the Trumpet has sort of backfired in this case, because I went for an instant trapping play the following turn. But regardless, he's at least able to continue with the pressure, so still pretty good off the unfair stamp. He goes down to 3 prize cards. Let's see what I can construct here. I have to rebuild another Gardevoir. Looks like I'm thinking about Drifloon, but we're going to start with a Curlier because, you know, we still want to weave in our Monkey Dories when we can, of course. We're going to start with the Refinement. And then we're going to Nest Ball. What did I refine away? Did I must have refined something away, right? I can't see what I discarded. Tell me I discarded something from that refinement. I didn't just draw 2. Surely the Poffin would have been discarded. Did I just straight up draw 2? Insane. We're going to Greninja for 2 more cards. Pretty sure the Poffin's just going to hurt me, the fact that it's in hand and not the discard pile, to be honest. If that was the case. But we are going to reload a Gardevoir here. And it's going to be literally just a Gardevoir, I think. Gardy and Screamtail. Seems reasonable enough. Because I think we do need to draw into this Gardevoir. We still have 1 refinement. We get rid of a Psychic. We have drawn into Darkness Energy, which is pretty solid. We can have that turn attachment onto Monkey Dory and start getting Adrenabrains in. It means I could KO Fez here if I want to see more cards. But that's only after I get a Gardevoir EX established, of course. And that's what I'm missing right now. We're going to Arven. And we're just going to grab Ultra Ball. This is where I can't believe I didn't refine away that Poffin. Maybe I just didn't see it properly, and maybe I like moved around my discard pile a bit because I was looking at the Gardevoir and the Rod and stuff, but I really hope I discarded something for that. If not, we got a free card in hand for no reason. I'm able to evolve into a Guardian to the active after searching over Arven. And we are then going to Adrenabrain and take out the Fez, because I'm actually hunting here, and the prize I was hunting for was the Bravery Charm, and we were able to get there, which is pretty crazy, to be honest with you. I think my turn otherwise would have been attacking with the Monkey Dory and make life a little bit more awkward for Jack, but because we were able to hit the Bravery Charm, I actually have the best turn possible here, which is going to be KOing this Palkia as well as the Fez all in 1 turn, and that's a pretty big bounce back. You know, I'm now ahead in the prize race, representing a single prizer in the active, and Jack doesn't really have a great follow-up attacker, you know. He can use the Fan Rotom to KO the Drifloon, but then I certainly should have means towards KOing the Terapagos on the bench. And my hand is pretty big now, 7 cards in hand. Should be pretty close towards a boss's orders. He can Night Stretcher for Fez and see 3 cards here. Let's see how that's treated him. He has water that he could potentially conceal away as well if he's digging for even more stuff here. Is that the Briar in hand? Briar is live, but you don't really want to put the Terapagos into the active. Ideally, maybe he takes one this turn. He's hoping that I only take one, obviously, and then he could, like, Briar CC for game with Terapagos on one of my lower hit point things. He's got Hisuian Heavy in hand. Really debating whether he's attaching or concealing this energy. Must be one of his final energy, but it is going to be for 2 more cards. Doesn't look like it's that helpful. The Manaphy is not great here. Nest Ball might be alright, might be able to get him another Pokemon, but he does have to be concerned about me just having Gust if it's a Palkia coming down, so he would lose on the spot to Boss. Whereas the damage output of Gardevoir is not high enough to deal with Terapagos. Even with the Adrenabrain, I'd have to have 2 of them. I am going to Artisan out a second Monkey Dory here. The only problem is, with Jack not representing much more of a threat, I can just attack with Gardevoir this turn, right? Go down to 1, and Jack's Terapagos can't reach on my Guardy. And I'm playing out of Briar range by taking this 1 more prize. Let's see, I'm holding on to a ton of Iono. We are just going to swing 3 on to the Guardy by the looks of things. Certainly 2. It's going to be 3 energy onto the active. I'm going to refine away Nest Ball. That does find Vessel, so I can get the second Dark Energy. That means I can double Monkey Dory here. Do I have Boss in hand to close? I can Greninja for 2 more cards for Boss for win. But looks like we're just going to Iono. I'm not sure why I pulled a second Psych Energy out of the deck there, because I actually want that towards the like top middle of my deck if I want to still have outs towards Greninja. But it looks like I'm pretty safe, right? I can just do the double Monkey, take the KO, and I don't think Jack has a way of taking the final 2 here. With me down at 1 price, he can't Briar anymore with Terapagos, and it's quite limited in its damage. It certainly can't get to 300. 240's its cap. With the Crown Opal, or the Unified Beatdown attack, right? We are going to see a quick Artisan from him. Is there anything he can do to avoid a KO? Maybe trying to Gust. We do see the Fezandipiti. He does have Prime Catcher, so maybe he like tries to Gust Trap for a turn and slow attach towards Greninja. He still might have Cologne. If he still has Cologne, he could Prime Manaphy, hope I can't move it for just 1 turn, and like attach to Greninja over 2 turns. I don't think he has Water in hand. Can he Irida for like Vessel or Night Stretcher or something along those lines to maybe get an attachment this turn? Let's see. Yeah, he's definitely still got that Cologne live. Yeah, it is going to be super odd that he Iridas. Super odd Palk. Then we're going to get rid of the Artisan for Area Zero. Then we're going to Rod back some Water. We definitely need those so that we can slowly build towards Greninja. But we still have to be quite hopeful here, right? To trap Manaphy. Jack knows that I still have like Churro and a few other things, so he just has to dodge like the 1 refinement that I have for a while. But no, I do draw into the Vessel and can just manually retreat and take that final prize. So some tough beats there for the Palkia side of things, and I do think the games were all close, to be honest with you. Possibly a few things Jack could have done differently. Obviously, we're still learning the archetypes as we're going here, so a few nuances there, but I do think that certainly in these games, what we came to realize that was like with the unfair stamps and with the Ionos and stuff, without a big barrel line in the list, you can just fall a little bit short. So maybe even just weaving in a 1/1 bib could be quite valuable in an archetype like this. And honestly, the stuff like the Briar may just be a little bit too flashy, and we may just have to simplify it down. I think possibly just Prime Catcher Cologne, maybe still the Counts Catcher, those items are still really valuable. But by the looks of things, the Noctowl on turn 2 is just helping you carve out the strongest turn 2, because you just have to spend them so early for the combo pieces this deck has, and you don't actually have the luxury of like saving them for the sort of late game. There may be situations where that comes together, and that's when the Noctowl can be really powerful. It's like a game-ending card. but the Terapagos itself didn't really get into the mix too much there, and the Briar didn't, you know, show up at the right times, and that might also be because we don't have the bib to sort of work towards in the late game. So I think we do need to make a few changes to the deck list. Hope you enjoyed the battles though, and we'll see you tomorrow for another one. Cheers.